Great. Mr. Penn, we'll let you start us off.
All righty. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Um, Most of you all have been through this process, and we're going to make a real quick change in one of the points, and Doug will get to that. And are there any members of the Roanoke Art Commission besides the APAC committee here today? All right, I'm going to ask the APAC committee to introduce themselves.
Good morning.
I'm,
I'm Helen Dean.
I'm Becky Carr.
I'm Catherine Cable Stromberg. Hold on, am I muted? Oh no, hopefully you hear me.
Okay. There are more of us on this committee. I'm sure they'll be joining later, and I hope they will. And there are members of the Arts Commission. We're about 15 strong, and it's a very wonderful organization. And we are the committee that really enjoys what we do to keep the arts flourishing in the Roanoke community. So, with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Doug.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, William. And I've got to say what a joy it is to work with these folks. These are 15 volunteer members of the Arts Commission. They're appointed by council. They put so much work into everything that we do. It kind of overwhelms me at points, especially this funding committee. There is so much work. I remember when I was on the committee, and I've got 20 some years of funding or experience as a funder, and I was kind of blown away at how robust this program is. This is no joke. And any of you who have filled out the applications before, applied for a program, done quarterly reports, welcomed us into your organization with a monitoring visit, you know how robust it is. So this is always kind of an exciting period for us as we are opening the call for the coming fiscal year. And we're really happy to be here today. So Williams kind of introduced the Arts Commission. I do see Laura Cardin's on here as well. Thanks for being on here, Laura. Laura's another member of the Arts Commission. So we've done the commission introductions. We will want to do some staff introductions very quickly. Then we'll talk about the goals of the funding for the City Arts and Culture program, the process, and then we'll actually dig into the process a little bit and do some tips. William mentioned there was a change, that we have a change this year, and we'll go into that. And then we did ask you when you registered. Let's see. We did ask you when you registered if you could, if you had any questions and tips, and we'll share those with you. Okay. And then we'll take a little bit of time and see if there are any other questions. So that's our agenda for today. And before we go any farther, I probably should say my name is Douglas Jackson. I'm the Arts and Culture Coordinator for the City of Roanoke. The Arts and Culture Office was before in the Office of Economic Development. And there's been a change. We're moving our office into the planning office, which is really pretty exciting, I think. I tell people that we fit anywhere because arts and culture touches every part of the city and every part of creating a strong, vibrant community. But I actually am a planner by training as well. And so I kind of like the idea of being in planning and the forward thinking and using the arts to create the kind of community we want to be. And I want to introduce some of our staff. Tina, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm Tina Carr. I'm a member of the Planning, Building, and Development Department. And I am absolutely thrilled to be working with Doug and the commission, and so glad he's a part of our department now. And I've just got to comment about the slideshow. I am struck by the diversity of all of our citizens that are highlighted in the slideshow. It just makes me so proud to to work with Doug and the commission. And so thank you all.
Thank you, Tina. We really look forward to working with you, and we're already really enjoying it. Melissa Murray was the recording secretary before of the Arts Commission. She served with us for 16 years. She's probably due for a break from us. We can be a bit much probably, but she really did enjoy it as well. I know a lot of you have worked with Melissa over time, and you'll enjoy working with Tina and Chrissy. Is Chrissy on the call? I think I saw her name earlier.
I believe she is on the call, Doug.
Chrissy, do you want to say hi? She might have gotten bounced off and have to hop back in. And then, so that's our internal staff of the city that works with this program. And then I do want to introduce Becky Dudley. We're going to hear from her again a little bit later on. But Becky, you want to say hi? You're with United Way. We're our partner in this.
Yes, hi. I'm the nerd, basically. I'm the one who sets EC Impact up for you all each year. And if you need anything, if you have any questions when you're filling out the application, Doug's going to give my email address and my phone number. You can contact me anytime. I love doing this every year because I get a sneak peek of what's going to be happening in Roanoke. So it's awesome.
Excellent. And we enjoy working with you, Becky. And I continually hear from grantees how easy you make the process for applying, and when they have technical challenges, how responsive you are. And we really appreciate that. Okay, so why we do this program, how we do the program. I do want to say that, we have an arts and cultural plan in the city that was done in 2011. It is time for us to renew this plan. We're still kind of in recovery mode from the pandemic as well. So we've said over the last few years, 2.5 years or so, how can we use arts and culture, the work that we're already doing? How can we work with our partners in the community to experiment and explore and set a foundation for planning? So we're using this emergent strategy in advance of the next arts and cultural plan. And I shared this with you last year, but I do think it's worth reviewing because this is where we see ourselves headed as we develop that new arts and cultural plan. So the sections of it really align with the City Plan 2040. We do refer to City Plan 2040 in this application process. Building on City Plan 2040 and specifically to the arts, we imagine currently our sections for the upcoming plan and planning process to be the equity and belonging, health and well-being, education and lifelong learning, strong neighborhoods and places, economic and community development, and then local and regional identity. And this is very similar to, in a way, to what was in the arts and cultural plan before. But the health and well-being and interwoven equity, of course, were new components in City Plan 2040. And that's where a lot of our emphasis has been in the last couple of years, really exploring how arts and culture can help us advance in those key areas for the city. So keep an eye out. Know that this grant program, and as you fill out the application, you are helping us experiment, explore, show ourselves how arts and culture makes a difference in a community. So we really appreciate your partnership in that. And you're going to feel this over the next couple of years really coming together as we codify it into a plan. Now, the matter at hand. Typically, we get about $340,000 from City Council. The Arts Commission makes a recommendation to Council. That $340,000, of course, part of our job as the Arts Commission, or part of the job of those 15 volunteers, is to be an advocate for the arts in the community. So they are kind of continually saying, are we giving at the right level for programmatic funding? Where are greater needs? And you are our partners in that, in communicating those with us. We believe that they make a difference. And so, that advocacy is important to us. And we also try to do it with a sense of inquiry. And how can we learn more as a community as we're exploring this? Now, Thursday, January 25th at noon, that's when the applications for the program are due. We will be asking, that we'll ask again this year, can we get more resources to fund? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But January 25th at noon, we fully expect there to be a large group of requests that have come in. Afternoon, we can't accept them at all. At 12:01, we can't accept an application. That's just the way it has to work. Here's the full calendar. So at noon on the 25th, the applications are due. On March 14th, one thing we love about this program, and it's, the volunteers who are reviewing the grants spend the entire day on a Zoom call, the entire workday on a Zoom call, and let every applicant come in and spend 15 minutes with the committee. And that puts a face to the program, or puts faces to the program. It also gives a chance for the committee, who has already given a first pass to the applications, gives them a chance to ask questions and to clarify. So it's just enjoyable as well. We do appreciate all of the work that our partners are doing to make the community a stronger place, and it's also a chance for us to say that as well. On April 3rd, the committee will come together internally, and they will review what they do in between, I should say, is they go into the United Way system and they score. It is their numbers applied to all the criteria. We'll talk about the criteria. They'll score the grants, we'll process the scoring and look at the available funds. And then together they'll come and look at options and how the funding can work based on the scores of the volunteers. So April 3rd, they'll make the first pass at that. If they need another meeting, typically they do, they'll set another meeting. And then on April 16th at the Arts Commission meeting, they will pass on those recommendations to the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission will ask additional questions, and then they will approve a slate of proposed funding levels to City Council, and that will go to City Council. Well, they'll approve that on the 19th. When we know that from the 19th, once the Arts Commission has said, here's what we are recommending to Council, we will notify grantees and we'll say, this is tentative. The Arts Commission can't make the decision. The City Council has to make it, but this is what we're recommending. And we hope that allows you to continue in your planning for the next fiscal year. We won't know for sure until Monday, June 3rd, when we hope to have those in front of Council. It's changed over the past during the pandemic with the budgeting process and the timing. We know that it'll happen by June 3rd. It could happen a little bit earlier, but plan on it for June 3rd. And then as soon as we know, we'll give you the heads up and say, yeah, it's been approved, it's final. And then beginning July 1st, you would have access to the funds. So we'd ask you to invoice us during the month of July. And if it's $10,000 and under, you can ask for the full amount in July. If it's over $10,000, then you can ask for half of it in July. And then you'd ask for the second half in January. That is a change this past year that we've made procedurally. In the past, invoicing for the money would come in, it would just stream in all year long, and it makes it really hard to track. So we decided, can we batch these and have everybody ask for it at the same time? And it helps us be able to track your program, know that we've gotten the funding to you, and just it's much more efficient. And it's seeming to work out better that way for us. I do want to say on the city website, everything that you need, there's a page on the left. If you go to the arts and culture page, it's pretty easy to find. You look under government, you find arts and culture. On the left-hand side, city funding for arts and culture. You can find all of our policies and procedures, the calendar, the EC impact quick guide. We've got a new one. I'll get that updated on there as well. City Plan 2040. Even when we're doing promotions about this program, where there's a podcast there, and then another interview, you can find more information there on that page. Additionally, if you get funded, we also keep the reporting requirements there. Everything you need to report is there on that page. Again, this is program funding. You can use a maximum of it, a maximum of 20% for your costs that support that program. You know, if you've got space rental, you've got general staffing, you've got print costs, you know, so 20% can be management cost for the program. The rest should be direct cost of delivering the program. And again, this is not operating funding. It is program funding. So the operational funding that is, you know, the things that you do to keep the doors open that aren't directly aligned with the program and that are beyond 20% for the program, those are the kind of costs that, you know, the Roanoke Cultural Endowment is currently working to create a continual funding stream for the community. You know, they're trying to raise $20 million so that eventually organizations will have access to up to $1 million a year in 3-year grants, so that they can continue. Well, the community will have $1 million a year that'll be broken up into all the arts and cultural organizations who would get them in 3-year grants. And that would be for operational cost. So that's the difference, you know, between these two funding, that potential funding stream and then our current funding stream. We are only focused on programs that are delivering services to the residents in Roanoke. So I mentioned City Plan 2040, and I already mentioned interwoven equity and healthy community, harmony with nature, livable built environment, a resilient economy, and responsible regionalism are the other parts of that plan. And we're going to go into that a little more deeply. And I said we were kind of experimenting. When City Plan 2040 came out, we said, how can the arts align with it? And we're seeing ways. Our funding, we had a grant last year that was kind of new and different for us, and it was directly related to City Plan 2040. So with that, there's also, I mentioned our our current arts and cultural plan, which we've done about 80% of it now. Lifelong learning is a component of that. And that's where a lot of arts and culture organizations have found themselves in the past. And that's still a criteria that we'll fund on. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The criteria that we'll review upon, community need. Does this fill a gap in the community? The program plan, collaboration, organizational management, and financial stability. So we are going to manage our risk as the city and investing these dollars by trying to make sure that the organization is strong, that it's well managed. We do want it, you know, we want to make sure that we're managing our risk, and we also want to make sure the dollars may have as much impact as possible. So we're looking at the whole ecosystem in the community. Where are the needs? What gaps need to be filled? Where can we advance and where can we advance us collectively? So that's where that collaboration comes in. The United Way system is really structured around goals and objectives, and you'll have a way to choose one of these goals that's connected to those the City Plan 2040 or the Arts and Cultural Plan. You can choose one major goal and then up to 3 objectives. And with those objectives, you'll tell us, well, here's what we want to do, here's how we're going to measure it, and here's what we want to reach in our measurement. And this is the best part, I think, this in the budget. This gives us the clearest idea of what you're trying to do. Not only what you're doing, but what your intention is with that. So between that and the budget, that's, for me, what I'm reviewing, those are the 2 of the big things I look at. And of course, in this program, I'm staffing it. But this is, I think, and we'll hear from some of the committee members on what they look at. That's going to be a fun question. I'm going to prepare them for that now. It'd be fun to get a little bit of insight in their process. So goals and objectives, here's an example. A goal would be to increase student access to and knowledge of 2-dimensional fine art. An objective would be to increase access to the fine art vocabulary for elementary age students. So we get a little more specific, right? The activities of that would be to schedule on-site tours and hands-on SOL-based workshops for all elementary students in the community. So it gets more specific. We know the activities are advancing that more specific objective. And then how are we going to measure it? So we're going to say, okay, how many students attend, and then how many students understand. So targets could be, we're going to have 500 students because we know what the population of the students are. This is an example, so I don't really know what the population is. But say there are 500 students in that universe. So we'll have 500 students participating. And we're going to have at least half of those able to answer 5 key questions as they leave. So you can see there what they're trying to do, and then how they're going to tell if the program is effective. And that's the format in the United Way system. They give you a structure to be able to tell us that. So the application, Becky's going to talk a little bit more about the Easy Start document. We'll make sure everybody has access to that. We'll give Becky a spreadsheet of everyone who registered for the How to Apply session, and our running list of past grantees. So we'll get that for you. If you don't get that in the next few days, then reach out to me and let me know, or reach out to Becky, and we'll have her contact information and let her know. The United Way system looks something like this. And you'll see that there's there on the left-hand side, it says, this is from last year or a couple of years ago, but it says human services and then arts and culture. And I want to share with you that we use the same system. And in the first part of the application, we actually ask you the same questions. So anything you're reporting about your agency, we share that it's the exact same information that we're looking at with both human services organizations and arts and cultural organizations. And then the second half is very program specific. So we share this system with the human services organizations, and that works well and helps us provide a little consistency across the city. You'll see down at the bottom left, there's a resource center. So we've got documents in there to help you apply for the grant. And then you'll see, oops, sorry, the phone's ringing. And you'll see kind of pretty clearly how to apply. When you start the application, and I mentioned there are 2 parts. So the top part's the agency part that talks about the health of your agency and looks at the overall part of the agency. The second part is the program part, where we're asking questions about a very specific program. So it makes it so much easier, since we are doing programmatic grants, that you apply about and give us information on that one program. So for instance, when we ask you for a budget, we only want the budget for that one program. So when we come in and sit down with you and say, okay, well, show us where you are in your budget, you don't have to go into your entire organizational budget. You can just show us the program budget. So the program information, you'll see in here that there's a status bar or status column on the right-hand side. It's a very nice system, I think. It works really well in that you can save really periodically, and as you save it, it'll show that in that section you're in progress or you're completed, and so you can go through and check things off very, very easily and very, very visibly. Okay. General tips on that: click save as you go. Do print and save your entire application before you submit it. It's just a good practice with any of these online systems. I've got a lot of confidence in this system, but it's good for you to have it. And that way you don't have to reach out to me when it comes time to start reporting to say, hey, what did we tell you we would do? It's good for you to go ahead and have that and to be doing the work before you start reporting. Read through the instructions all one time before starting. That's always very helpful. Use that resource center. And I don't think you really need to tell us if you're not going to apply now. I think I can probably take that off the slide. I think that's based in our older system where we were paying per user. Okay, I mentioned the resource center. And okay, In the agency sections, there's general agency info. You've got, there's some standards for funded agencies that you'll see. There are, and some attestments that we ask you to make. Your administrative and financial information, there are questions around that. Board participation and the financial review, kind of how you conduct as the leadership of the organization. So we do care about how representative the board is. We care about the giving levels of the board. We require that every one of your board members has to give at some level. It can be $5 or $5,000. We don't want to know the amount. We just want to know that everybody contributes. And then you'll see some spaces for the for attachments, and those attachments range from, you know, you've got to work with VDAX with your designation as a charitable organization. We ask that you upload the if you're asking for over $25,000, we ask that you give us your audit. You know, there are different levels, and we've got some policy about that on what you need to what you're required to present to us. But now that I said $25,000, I should say our funding levels, you know, range from a couple of $1,000s, you know, up toward $30,000. And we have $340,000 total. We know we typically give about 24 grants out in the past. That said, we're also always on the lookout for emerging organizations to make sure everyone has access to these resources. So, you know, we see part of our goal in building the ecosystem is not only working with council to get more programmatic funding, but also working in the community to make sure we've got, you know, a good, healthy community of organizations that are each growing and strengthening. And that includes emerging organizations that are starting up. To be eligible for this funding, your agency needs to be a 501c3 designated nonprofit. You have to be a 501c3, except if you're an emerging organization and another 501c3 is your fiscal agent. That is okay. And we encourage that. And if a nonprofit organization wants to be a fiscal agent for another organization, they can actually apply for 2 grants. You know, I imagine it'd be a smaller grant that they're applying for the emerging organization as they're helping them start up, but it would not disqualify them for applying for a grant for themselves. So that's one way an emerging organization can get into the system. We do say, and there are organizations out there that I know are not a designated nonprofit that have been doing work for up to a decade. To be eligible for this, we ask that you've been providing services in the community for 3 years. So it doesn't mean that you're a nonprofit for 3 years prior to applying. It means that you've been providing services, and you could apply under the fiscal agency of another organization. So that's another way we see the kind of ecosystem at work. And I know that we have a very supportive ecosystem here. So a large organization could be a fiscal agent for a smaller organization. All right, I've already mentioned that we just want to know about the giving rates. We don't want to know how much. With the board participation, we're asking over the last 12 months, and you all, it's very clear how to do it. Like, what month did you have a board meeting? Because not every board meets every month. Some meet more frequently, some meet a little less frequently. We ask, when did you meet? How many attended, and what was that? So what was that rate? It's pretty clear. Again, board and staff leadership is really important to us, especially showing that it's representing the full community. It's very difficult to provide services to the community that are meeting the needs and attracting the full community unless you've got that representation on your board. It really, really does make a difference. And we are serious about that. And this is not news. We've been working on this for the last, I don't know, 5 to 6 years or so. We've done the cultural equity training, where we're providing resources to build audiences and strengthen audiences and build new relationships. And that's where it really happens, where, in a really authentic way, where you've got somebody who's attracted to your organization because of what you're doing. And they say, hey, yeah, how can I become a greater part of this? So we hope you're always looking for that, and looking for the non-traditional board members. Yeah, because we always, people, there are lots of reasons, and we encourage you to have a board matrix where you're thinking through all the ways you want to have representation and activity and knowledge and engagement. And it's not just who can write a check, right? It's not just the wealth part. And there's lots of wisdom out there that's important as well. And that can be, and that comes from lots of different parts of our lives, that wisdom. So we do ask for you to tell us about your goals. And we don't expect to see the same language that we saw last year in your goals, because we know you're working hard and continually growing in this way. Or the program sections. So we're asking you, what are you offering in the community? How does it align with our priorities? Please. I was a little embarrassed for an organization last year when I saw that they had recycled language from a prior grant. They didn't change the dates in it even, and it didn't refer to what we're asking you now. So please don't just cut and paste from the past grant. It's really clear to the committee when that happens. Collaboration. This is our new piece that we teased earlier. Collaboration is a key component. We want to make sure that, I have a whole separate slide on this, so I will come back to it. But we have a new form if you are partnering with city schools, and I'll come back to that in a second. The objectives, again, I mentioned that's one of the key areas where we can really tell what you're doing. So take that objectives form seriously. That is also, when you go to report quarterly, that's where that information comes from. It's the exact same structure. So think that through. As I'm talking about thinking things through, please do use this opportunity as you're working on this grant over the next 2 months. Use it as an opportunity to do some deep planning for the program, for how the program is going to advance your organization, how the program is going to advance your organization's work in the community. You'll get the program budget. That's a critical management tool, and you'll see there's a whole section on that. And then we do want to know who is participating in this. So what does your audience look like? And we do want you to measure that. And that can be from intercept surveys. You can count, you can look at people, you can do your best guess. If you've got partners like Roanoke City Public Schools, you can use data from the schools. We do know what the demographics of the community are, but those are not the same as who is benefiting from your program. And like you are not serving everybody in the community through this one program. We're not giving you enough money to do that. So we know it's a subset. So give us that specific data on the subset. And then there's some spaces for optional attachments on that program. All right. The titles make a lot of difference, I've learned, in grants. It doesn't have to be your final title, but you can tell us what you're doing, your goals of it. You can weave that into the title, and it can be pretty powerful. So that's the first thing maybe the reviewers see, and that's the lens they're going to apply when they're reading the grant. So it could be an opportunity. We do need the justification of why you're doing the program. How is it different? If someone else is, and you've done the work, as you're looking at the market that you're serving, you know who else is out there. So we're asking you to show us where the gap is, how you're meeting the gap. If it's a new program that we haven't done here in Roanoke before, there might be other examples in other communities or studies that you can share with us. And then, again, alignment with the plans. And I just do want to run through those plan areas very briefly. And, again, you look at some of these and go, I don't know how we fit that. You don't have to fit everything, but we do want you, we see what critical thinking partners and strategic partners you are in the community. So we are asking you to think through, at least be exposed to this and kind of like wonder a little bit, like, oh, how do we play a role in that? Interwoven equity. Are there ways that arts and culture can lead community healing, to provide quality education for all residents, to avoid displacement resulting from gentrification, to lead development of a culture of inclusion in Roanoke, to build capacity for community-based organizations to better connect to their residents? So interwoven equity, or maybe there's another way that you are advancing this and you can tell us about. Healthy community. Ensure equitable access to recreational facilities and programming, support partnership approaches to providing assistance to at-risk populations, provide education about healthy lifestyle choices and food services. Family health, mental health, and substance abuse treatment should be considered essential community needs. So I know Val's on the phone or on the call, and if you go down to the Swoon exhibit, or if you met with Swoon when she was here, you really got a sense of lots of ways the arts play a role in building a healthy community and an equitable community. Harmony with nature. Grow and promote Roanoke's outdoor tourism identity as an economic driver. Enhance outdoor access and recreation through regional collaboration. Support beautification efforts in all neighborhoods. Target pollution reduction while providing for environmental justice. And we saw in the slideshow the Art to Rescue the River, which is an example of that. So some of these things you've been doing for a long time, we're just asking how it advances the plan. Improve community outreach and education to increase environmental awareness, promote sustainable practices, and reinforce positive action within the community. A livable built environment. Preserve culturally, historically, and architecturally significant buildings, sites, and districts. Support development of new and strengthen existing mixed-use neighborhood centers with locally distinctive physical public places for people to interact. And that's placemaking. The Arts Commission has a placemaking committee. We know how this is why we kind of make sense that we're in planning and the work that planning's doing. Integrate arts and cultural activities into physical design and revitalization strategies of neighborhoods in a manner that highlights local talent citywide. So that's in the comprehensive plan. That's saying arts and culture makes a difference, and we're asking you how you're a piece of that. The strong work to grow a unified regional identity. Some of your collaborations very much work to contribute to this. And if you were part of the meeting recently, we've been talking a lot about our collective marketing and how we can communicate the kind of community we are in Roanoke and the kind of community we're working hard to be through arts and culture and entrepreneurship, small business development. So there's work that we're doing there. A resilient economy, promoting tourism in the area, promote the region's assets and strengths to recruit new and develop existing businesses in the city, improve the vitality of existing commercial corridors, and support the growth of locally owned businesses. The Buzz for Good episode that we did on arts and economic development this year really brought this to light, helped us think through the story that we're telling and how can bring more resources to arts and cultural organizations if folks understand the role of the creative sector in strengthening the economy, in strengthening innovation, and helping everything advance further. Then lifelong learning. This is from the Arts and Cultural Plan. Encourages arts and culture programs for people of all ages and social sectors, achieves greater collective impact through strong networks and new collaborations, and builds links among area education, K-12 or higher education, performing and visual arts in cultural institutions. So this is all the same as last year. This will probably evolve next year, or as soon as we kind of get the plan codified. or start pulling it together and advancing the way it's making sense to us. But we'll be working with you in partnership as we do that. So keep an eye out for some conversations this year about that. Now, back to the collaborations. So we are asking about firm collaborations. In another grant program this year, I saw there was a collaborative project proposed, and I happened to run into somebody who was one of the partners in it on the street. And I said, hey, I saw that you're doing this. And they had no idea what I was talking about, which was just wasn't good. We were asking about not like, oh yeah, well, we'll reach out to them if we get the money, we'll talk to them. That's not what we're focusing on here. We're asking about the very firm collaborations. So those need to be illustrated with a letter of the organization. Or if you are working with Roanoke City Public Schools, there is a form that is now in the resource center that we are asking that you fill out. And that has got to have a signature from the organization and a signature from the school district. So if you say that we're developing this performance or product and we are going to get it into the schools, that's great, but we need to know the schools are going to use it. And so they've got to commit between now and the end of January to doing that. So that's why we're doing the How to Apply workshop. We're encouraging you to very quickly reach out if you've got a plan that involves city schools, to reach out with them and build this relationship. So it makes it a little bit easier for them to do a form rather than a letter. So let me show you what's on the form. It just asks for the name of the organization, a brief description of how the organization plans to partner with Roanoke City Public Schools. If the grant is awarded, the organization will, and where you stretch out exactly how you're going to work with the schools. There's an example there. We provide a field trip on site at the Taubman Museum of Art for all second grade classes for a hands-on activity, an exhibit tour of the exhibit Art, Health, and Youth. Yeah. So that's just an example. If the grant is awarded, what would the organization need from RCPS? So this is showing that RCPS understands, yeah, well, we will provide transportation for the students to the site. We will, and we will make sure that all second grade students, attend, those kind of things. This is really just a conversation tool for you, so that you and the school district can be on the same page, and that the Arts Commission can invest city dollars with a lot of confidence that it's going to happen, and the partnership is on a good path right from the get-go. And then so there you see the two spots for the organization signatures. So that's let me check in since this is the new part. Any questions on this? Yeah, Lisa.
Sorry, let me unmute. So just so I'm clear, the whatever organizations we list in the collaboration section, we need to have a letter or this form. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so
then,
a letter for anybody else, but if it's RCPS, we've worked with them to develop this form.
okay. So then my next question is, because I've been working with the schools for volunteers, but primarily the high schools, for volunteers for our events. So does that count, or it has to be something that's like directly?
I tell you, that is a wonderful collaboration. I think, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, but I think it engages the next generation in the community, in your organization. I see that as a terrific collaboration. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Any other questions? All right. On the budget, again, the budget is your primary management tool. We should be able to look at the budget and tell exactly what you're doing, how you're going to spend the money. We will ask to see the budget when we come for your monitoring visit. Like, okay, update us on the budget. Where do you stand on this? We don't ask you to report back to us, with the dollars at the end of the day. That this is how the dollars got spent, dollar by dollar. We will check in on that on the monitoring visit. At the end of the day, if you've delivered this service and you have met your targets, then we're going to be really happy. we will, we'll be happy. And that's how it works. But we do want to know, as we're doing the monitoring, as we're checking in with you, that the dollars are being spent in the way that we say they're going to be spent. When you're doing the budget, you'll see that there's an auto calculation tool in there, which is really nice. You fiddle with it the first time and it'll be pretty apparent to you. There is a place to do a budget narrative. I typically write something in the budget narrative when I'm applying for a grant, because it's just another way to communicate what you're doing. But if everything's clear, if you think your descriptions are clear and there are no questions, you don't feel like you have to use a narrative, you can just put an A or not needed. Again, I mentioned demographics are required. We know how creative our organizations are. We know you can figure out how to do this. And you can tell us if it's for a 6-month period. If most of your work happens in a 6-month, you can do that. It gives you a point to select 6 months or 12 months. Now, the fun part. Here are some of your questions. I know the whole thing's been fun. Okay, so how can my organization serve the community better? I love that question. That was perfect. And we hope by going into the City Plan 2040, where the community has said together, there's a whole lot of process and participation and engagement around this plan, where the community has said, this is where we want to go. That's going to be your cue there, how you can serve the community better, I think. And additionally, your specific audience, your subset of the community that you already work with, and then the people who you want to work with, those folks can help you know how to serve the community better. Did we have to attend today? Which I thought was a fun question. No, you did not have to attend today. That's why I didn't put this slide first, because you would have all checked out. You didn't have to attend today. This is no longer mandatory. It used to be mandatory. Now we're recording it, and this will be on our page there that I showed you earlier. So you can go back and watch this. How do nonprofits partner with the city to produce works of historical significance? That's a great question. We hope there are projects that fit that bill exactly. This is programmatic funding with the city. Through arts and culture, we have many city departments, and we all are trying to do a good job of working together. So if we're talking with you about this program, it's an introduction. We might see other ways that the city can support you. I know many of you have very strong relationships with Parks and Recreation, with Public Works, and are used to working across the different units of the city as you're pulling together an event, say. There might be other things that we are overlooking. We have a terrific PR section now. It's been strong over periods of time. There's a great team in there now. We have a new neighborhood services officer. All these people are willing to help. And if we are funding your event or activity, we can push it out to everybody through our social media. We can try and weave it into our Roanoke news. It just takes a little bit of planning, but we hope this grant opportunity is kind of an introductory conversation where we can figure out how we can support you better and meet our community goals together. So I think that's the start to answer that question, but we'll have more specific conversations as well, one-on-one. As first-time recipients, would you describe this process as tedious? I'll let the community answer that question. I don't think it's tedious. I think it's tremendously important. Every time I write a grant, it's where I'm doing my strategic thinking. I think even if filling out a form might feel tedious, the work that's happening in my mind while I'm doing it is incredibly important. At least later on it feels that way, even if it felt like, oh, I'm working on a grant now. But I'll offer to the community. Anybody else want to answer that? You can completely contradict me. Okay. And then changes in the application from last year. That was a question, and we've already gone through that. The one major change is that form from RCPS. What other questions do you have now? Lisa.
So, yes, so back to the Arts Commission priorities where you indicated not to recycle our, what our goals are. So, aside from dates, if an organization like, for us, like we're going to keep doing our events and, the same goals, of course, with the goal of making them better, more inclusive, more collaborative. But aside from that, I really don't see how we're going to really make a lot of changes or probably any. I mean, the changes will be minor. So how do you evaluate that if you don't want it to be recycled?
I'll push back on that because I know you and I know your organization, and I have watched what you have done in recent years. And I know you're constantly thinking about new partnerships, about the work that you're doing, and how. And I know you've added events. I think about the Hispanic Heritage that you've done 2 years in a row now. Um, when you left that event that day, you thought, oh, here's what I'm going to do next year, and here's how it's going to get us to the next place. That's what we want to hear.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, who?
Hey Doug, thank you so much. I I have a question about collaborations, and it would be how could they fit with the art catalogs project that's going to come out?
Oh, well, terrific. Yeah, thanks for that plug. We have a catalog coming out that's Arts Connect Neighbors, and many of you are part of that catalog. It's the first time we're going to do it. We're meeting today to look at it's all laid out. It's going to come out beginning of January. This is for arts to experiment in a new way. How are we building stronger relationships between neighborhoods and your organizations and individual artists in the community? How are we starting the planning conversation with neighborhoods through this? And we see lots of ties. I met yesterday with the Tallman Museum of Art. We're going to do a little showcase as part of Arts Pop, where we're going to feature some of the neighborhood art, some of the catalog entries at Arts Pop this year. So I think it's all connected, but that's part of my own craziness in my head. We see it as all connected, and what we're going to be learning this year through these neighborhood activities, we're going to see gaps and hear from neighborhoods, oh, this is something that we'd like to do. And I think there's going to be lots of opportunities, even if your organization is not part of the catalog now, that we're going to find ways to pull you in, make connections, and grow together. So I think there are going to be plenty of ways. And you might have people who you are already working with in a neighborhood, and that you look and you say, okay, there's circle singing is an option. We've done this before because I know you've done it before at Blue Ridge Literacy. You might say, well, let's let some of our learners lead the charge in bringing this to their neighborhood and bringing neighbors together through circle singing. It's something they know, and they will strengthen the ties in the immediate proximity around them in a neighborhood or in a neighborhood park. Or it could be that they say, hey, we want to do our country's celebration or mark a celebration from our country, and something from the catalog might be something they can get free access to as long as it's done in partnership with a neighborhood organization. They'd be able to do it.
Thank you. I was thinking about circle singing, and I think you gave me some good leads there.
Okay. Well, great. I'll be happy to talk to you more about that. And we've got some coaches and facilitators who will be helping us with that as well. Any other questions? All right. Next, your tips. One of your tips was whenever you have an event, not only should you be taking lots of pictures, but name each one and save it in a folder in case you need it later. You never know when a filmmaker or reporter is looking for documentation for a project. I think that came from a documentary filmmaker too. So so they want to, people out there, the press, the media, they're interested in helping share your word. So that is really good. We did start this off today with images that you have submitted to us. Please do continue to submit images to us and let us help tell your story. As we're wrapping up, you all are the experts, and we have asked you in the past, like, hey, can you coach each other? We can make some connections, help you do that. If you're a first-time grantee, you want to apply for the program this year, let me know, and we can help partner you with somebody. Everybody in the past has been very willing to share tips and to support each other as a community as we're doing this, and I know that'll continue as well. Let me reach out to, before we go to the next step, reach out to William Penn and committee members and see if I've forgotten anything or if you have anything you want to add.
I don't think you've forgotten anything, and I think you covered the collaborative information very well. And I think it'll make it a lot easier for everyone to know exactly who is responsible for doing what. And that's very important to make sure everybody is on the same page.
Great. Anybody else on the committee? Becky, Helen, Catherine, any comments? We're all good. All right. And then,
hey.
yeah, Catherine.
I was just gonna say that you know, Doug has been so thorough, but we really do pay attention. At least I do when I'm doing my evaluations. I literally have like the things that Doug, like the metrics that Doug has set up, and then I look at that, and then I read the application, and I'm like, okay, here, you know, I'm glancing back and forth. So I just want to encourage people to use the resources that Doug has, you know, put out there, because we really do follow that stuff. It's not just empty words.
Yeah, they're very serious about it. And I did prompt this before. Anybody else on the committee who served on the committee before, do you have any tips from your particular perspective as a reviewer? Anything that part of your personal process that might help people as they're thinking about their application?
Okay, I'm just going to say one thing that's my pet peeve, which is my little tiny pet peeve, and I understand it as a grant writer myself, is when, you know, I have a sense that things are not being filled out because the answer is not what you think we want to hear. And I have to be honest, when that happens, I assume the absolute worst. So, like, you know, kind of like the civil trial rules where, like, if you don't testify, they can assume the absolute worst. Like, that's at least what I do. So I will tell people, like, even if it's not great, like, even if it's like, hey, this is 5% and we wanted it to be 30%, you know, for whatever, you know, just tell us it's 5%, because I will assume 0%. I will assume you're, you know, whatever little like nugget you've got. Just tell us about it. Like, just tell us the good stuff, even if it's not where you want it to be, because, you know, getting there is what matters. Not that you're not there yet. It's that you're committed to getting there, is what I'll say, at least in my mind. Maybe other people have a different view.
I think that was beautifully said. Yeah. Yeah. Keep in mind that this panel is looking at your grant going, we want to fund this program. We want to fund this organization. And that honesty in saying, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and there's a gap there, and here's how we're addressing it. That's gold right there. That's really what they want to see. Yeah. Any other comments from committee members? All right. Becky, let me turn it over to you and for your words of wisdom.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I just want to say, oh, I see so many faces that I love. You all represent the very, very best of Roanoke, the best things about living in Roanoke. And I am just amazed by all the different programs and all the things that are going on. And yes, I do look at your applications to see what's going to be happening. Okay, couple of things about EC Impact. I'm going to be sending everyone a quick start guide. I reset everybody's passwords at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of this process. So if you don't remember your password from last year, don't worry about it. You're going to get a new temporary password. You can log in, go ahead and, change your password to something you will remember. If you need anything, please feel free, email, call, I'm available. Please don't wait until the very last minute if you are having trouble submitting. I can actually log in as you while I'm on the phone with you, and I can see if there's anything missing or if the reason you can't submit is because something hasn't been marked as completed. And I'm happy to do that. I do make myself available the night before. I'll keep checking my emails. So if you're working on it late the night before, you're good till about 2 a.m. And after that, I stop. So if you need something and it's the night before, let me know. Just shoot me an email. I will check and I'll give you a call. The other thing is, Doug mentioned this, save often. This is web-based software. And so what that means is this stuff is not sitting anywhere on like a server where I can get to it. So if something happens and you lose your connection, your part of your work is going to be gone and you're going to be very, very sad. So save often. If you don't print, because I know there's going to be somebody who either prints or saves their application as a PDF, and then 3 months later, you can't find it because that happens to me all the time. I forget where I've saved things. That's okay. Just let me know, shoot me an email, and I can either make sure you're able to log in still because we don't deactivate accounts anymore, or I can just log in and print it and send it to you through email. So you are covered a number of ways. Another thing that's different now, and I don't know if we've talked about this, we used to limit the number of logins agencies could have because the city had to pay more based on how many folks you had at your agency who were able to log in. That is no longer the case. So if you're working on the grant, but maybe you have 2 or 3 other people helping you and you wish they could have a login, just shoot me an email with their name and their email address and I can get them taken care of. That way, one of you isn't bearing this entire burden all alone if you've got other folks who can help you with the data entry. And that's really all I have to say, other than you guys are great.
All right. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for that support. And again, start early so you can reach out. And 2 a.m. Don't reach out to me. I won't have good advice at 2 a.m. Yeah. Any other questions?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? I'm Philip Robinson. I'm the assistant director of the Hummerbees, and I'm new to this, and I just have a question in regards to when it comes to the application process. Once again, what do I need to do? Me and my wife, we are a nonprofit organization. So once again, we're new to this and we're trying to see what can we do to help out in the community. We have a lot of young youth that we do a lot of things with the youth in the community. So we're trying to see what can we contribute and what do we need to do in regards to the application process and where do we need to go for that?
Well, I tell you, I know that any one of our committee members would be happy to join me in meeting with you, and we'd love to sit down with you and just go deep, learn about your organization, the work that you're doing, and kind of share with you our sense of the landscape, and talk about ideas. We'd be happy to do that very soon, so you have plenty of time to work on the application. So,
okay.
And I think I've got your email. You registered. I saw your email address. So how about
Yes,
if I reach
sir.
out to you after this?
Yes.
Great. Terrific.
Okay. I didn't catch the last part you said.
Oh, how about if I reach out to you right after this?
Okay. Through email.
Yeah, I'll email you. It won't be immediately following this today. I'm kind of packed, but I'll follow up the next day or so.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on today.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. Anything else for the good of the group before we wrap up? Jerry.
Yes, I just want to thank you and the commission for all the work you do in supporting our organizations. It's just a reminder of what a great city Roanoke is and all the arts that benefit from your efforts. And thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And I got to tell you, I was looking for a poem the other day and I went through three back issues of Artemis, and it took, you know how it is. Like I wrote a poem for a specific, for a specific reason. And I just like forgot what I was looking for. And I just spent, I think, an hour going through and reading, even though I'd read them before. Thank you for what you do in highlighting artists and writers in the community. Yeah, we appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll call it a morning. Thank you all. Good luck, and reach out if you need anything.
And I'd like to thank you all for joining this meeting and congratulate all you for your diversity and all the arts, and it makes Roanoke a growing, glowing place to live and work. So thank you all for your work. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.